I knew it wasn't an animal the first night the screws hit my pillow. Before that, I told myself raccoons. Maybe a cat. It started as thumps and a slow walk, back and forth across the roof over my bedroom. The house is a single-story ranch. Roof right over me. I lay there in the dark and counted the steps. 4 to 6. Stop. Then 5 back. Stop. I waited for it to jump down. It didn't. I'm not the jumpy type. I fix things for work. I have a 6-year-old, Noah. We moved into this place last spring after the split, and I was proud of it. Small yard. Old maple out front. New shingles, the listing said. Night 2. It paced again. I went out in the yard with a flashlight. I aimed it up. Nothing. No animal eyes. Just the black roof and the stars. A car went by. The sound stopped for a second, then started again, like whoever was up there didn't want attention. "I hear you," I said, like an idiot. My breath fogged. Back inside, I pretended to sleep. By morning, I called animal control. The guy came out. He looked around, put his hands on his hips. He climbed the little roof over the porch. I heard him walk. He slid his light across the shingles. He got quiet. He climbed down and rubbed his fingers together like he'd touched something he didn't want to talk about. "Raccoons?" I asked. "Not raccoons," he said. He kept wiping his hand on his pant leg. "You got oily smears up there. Something heavy. And these." He showed me a photo on his phone. 5 deep gouges, spaced wrong. Not a straight line like claws. More like 5 points clustered too close. Then a long gap. Then another set. Like a hand gone wrong. And he told me it wasn't his department if it wasn't a normal animal. He gave me a card for a roofer. The roofer came the next day. He was an older guy. He took one look, shook his head, and said, "These shingles are bent like someone sat on the peak." He told me it wasn't hail or heat. "You sure someone isn't getting up there?" he asked. "I keep the gate locked," I said. "My neighbor would see." As if on cue, Jenna across the street texted me a picture. I opened it while he talked. A blurry shape at the peak of my roof. Crouched. Long. Even blurry, I knew it wasn't right. It looked like a person who forgot how sitting works. "Take a look," I said to the roofer and showed him. He squinted. He cleared his throat. "You should call the police," he said, and got in his truck. I took a bag of flour from the pantry that night. I told myself I'd show Noah a science trick in the morning. I waited until he was asleep and I went out and threw handfuls of flour up across the lower slope. I used the garden rake and a step stool to toss it higher. I dusted the shingles pale. We went to bed early. The pacing woke me around 2. Slow. Heavier. The ceiling light fixture ticked, the way it does when the temperature changes. I stared at the light. A screw dropped onto my cheek. It came right through the little gap by the base. I caught it in my hand and sat up. More tink-tink-tink across the house. Screws and nails falling from up there like someone was sifting them through. I taste metal when I'm scared. It was in my mouth. I went outside at dawn. I set Noah up with cartoons and a bowl of cereal, and one told him not to move. The flour showed prints. 2 sets. No tracks up to the roof. Nothing on the porch. But all over the roof, in the flour, were marks that looked like hands. Not feet. Palms and long fingers splayed wrong. Some with the heel of the hand. Some with just fingertips. They were in pairs, but the spacing made my eyes hurt. I took photos. I called the police. A younger officer and an older one came. They looked bored, I showed them the prints. I showed them the picture my neighbor took. The older one shrugged. "Kids prank," he said. "Halloween's months away," I said. He said, "Listen, sir, unless you have someone on your roof right now, there's not much we can do." He told me not to leave bait out. He told me to call back if it was a person. That night, the screws fell again. The rhythm on the roof got closer, then moved away. I got my ladder out. I set it by the gutter. It was around midnight. I figured if I could get a look, maybe I'd see a raccoon asleep in the valley. I propped the ladder on the concrete and leaned it. I tested the feet. I grabbed the sides and climbed 2 steps, 3. My hands shook. I told myself, get up, get a look, go back down. Something shifted on the roof above me. Not a footstep. Wait. The ladder slid an inch. The rubber feet squealed. I hugged the rails. "Hey," I said, because that's what came out. Another shift. The ladder kicked out like someone pushed on it from above. Just a little. It slid, then bit, then slid again. I dropped down to the ground hard and yanked it away in case it came all the way out. My palms burned. I stood there in the yard like an idiot with the ladder and my heartbeat in my throat. I bought a cheap drone the next day from Target. I told Noah it was for the park. While he was at school, I went in the backyard and launched it. I sent it up and over the roof. The video was good at first. Tiles, a ridge cap, the neighbor's trampoline. Then static swallowed it. The app hung. Then one frame, clear as a flash. A long limb sliding over the lens. Too long. It took up the whole frame. Skin gray like old gum. Not fur. Not feathers. The app crashed. The drone landed itself somewhere I couldn't find. The controller just said, "Lost." That afternoon, it snowed. Not much. A thin layer. Enough. I got home, put groceries on the counter, and saw the roof already dusted white. Out front, on the lawn, there was a path. 2 lines of prints. Not boots. Not paws. They started by the mailbox. They went straight toward the house. They didn't cross the porch. They stopped in the grass under the eaves. No more on the lawn. But on the roof, above, the snow had a drag line like someone slid on their belly. And then it was just the roof covered in churned up white and the same handprints, spaced wrong. Nothing leading away. "Dad?" Noah said behind me. "Close the door," I said, and my voice was calm somehow. "Go to your room, buddy. Play on the tablet." I called the police again. The same older officer came with a different partner. He looked at the snow. He pushed his tongue into his cheek. "You got squirrels," he said. The younger one took a picture of my house and didn't say anything. They left. I started recording. I set my phone on the nightstand and used a voice recording app. I listened back in the morning while I made coffee, thinking I'd hear footsteps. I heard dragging. Slow. As if someone pulled a heavy object across the ceiling right above my bed. When the dragging stopped, the sound didn't. There was this breath, not in and out, more like it filled and held, full. And when it let out, my own breath synced with it on accident, and I had to pause and go stand outside. I'm not proud of the next part. I tried to ignore it. I put on a different podcast every night. I stuffed tissue in my ears. The nails still fell. They bounced off my nightstand. I swept them into a coffee can in the morning and it was always half full. Once, a screw landed on the floor in Noah's room. He held it up like a prize. "Daddy, the house is making tools," he said. I smiled and took it, and my hands were shaking so bad I had to sit down for a second. The attic hatch started to droop on Tuesday. It's one of those plywood panels in the hall with a trim ring. My house never had central air, just ducts for the furnace. The panels sagged at one corner when the pressure changed. The staples in the trim made little cracks. I stood on a chair and tapped it back up. That night I woke to a gentle thump and saw the hatch bowing down like something had leaned on it. The screws around it popped one by one. Tick, tick. A fine dust fell onto the carpet. I called my friend Luis. He does HVAC. He doesn't scare easy. He came by with a headlamp and thick gloves. "Let's just rip it open and take a look," he said. We set the ladder under the hatch in the hall. Noah was at my sister's for the night. I wasn't going to do this with him in the house. Luis pushed the hatch up with a putty knife. I held the ladder. I heard the drag sound again, but faster now, across the joists above us. "You hear that?" Luis asked. "Yeah," I said. "Back left." He stuck his head up. His headlamp lit dust. Insulation. A duct trunk line made of sheet metal. It shifted. The strap that held it snapped. The duct fell 6 inches and swung. The raw edge of the metal caught his forearm as he flinched. It sliced a clean line. He swore and climbed down fast. Blood poured between his fingers. It looked too bright on his skin. "I'm fine," he said through his teeth. He wasn't fine. We wrapped it in a towel and went to urgent care. 9 stitches. He joked about tetanus. He didn't come back the next day when I called. That night, the holes started. Small test holes in the drywall of the hallway ceiling, around the hatch. Perfect little circles from pressure. 1, then 3. I stood on the chair and touched one and flakes fell on my face. Something pressed back from the other side for a second. I could feel the cool push on my fingertip through the gypsum. I backed down fast and my legs shook. I moved Noah into my room with me. I put his mattress on the floor and pushed my bed against the far wall. I put a heavy dresser under the hatch. I told him it was a camping night. He asked if we were playing a game. "Yep," I said. "Quiet game." At 2 a.m., the dresser shook. Nails poured from the ceiling light like rain. I got Noah up and put him in the closet on a pile of blankets. He wanted to cry. I made my voice flat and calm. "Hey, look at me. We are okay. We are going to stay in here and be very quiet." He nodded. He put his fists against his eyes and did what I asked. I hate that he did what I asked. I could hear it moving. Slow. Careful. It learned the joist pattern. It didn't break through. It pressed and let go. It pressed again. It was right over my hallway. Right over the small room that was supposed to be my workroom but was full of Noah's Lego now. Right over his ceiling. I snapped. It wasn't smart. It was just done. I was done. I pulled the ladder out again. I grabbed the long flashlight, the pry bar, a carton of matches from the junk drawer. I went to the garage and got the red gas can I used for the mower. I stood there and looked at it. That was the choice. I set it by the door. My hands were steady now. "I'll be right back," I told Noah. He shook his head hard. "No," he said. I knelt. "I'm going to fix the noise," I said. "You have to watch the light. If it turns off, you yell for me. Okay?" He nodded. "I love you," I said. That was the part that made me almost stop. I shoved the dresser aside and put the ladder under the hatch. I pushed the panel up with the pry bar. It stuck. The nails someone had put in there, God knows when, held one side. I levered. It popped and the smell hit me. Oily. Old. Like hot dust and something else. My light lit a space that didn't look like mine. The rafters should have met in a neat triangle. They didn't. The angles were off, like someone had sistered them wrong, but I knew they hadn't been like that last year when I stored Christmas in there. The joists looked a little bowed, like they had swallowed weight for too long. The geometry made my stomach turn. The insulation had a shallow indentation in it. Not a nest, not a hole, just a place where something had waited. The indentation ran along the joists instead of across them, like it lay belly down between them. I swept the light. My own name was scratched into the wood of the far rafter. Full name, spelled right, in long, hesitant lines, fresh enough that the edges were pale. "Get out," I said, but not at it. At myself. At the house. I heard it move to my left. Fast, then slow. It didn't shy away from the light. It watched it. It knew I was in there. It knew my weight. It pressed on the opposite side, and the whole run of duct shook again, a clink of metal on wood. I could feel the breath through the hatch, warm and damp, then no breath, then the sense of something full and waiting. I don't know what I thought I would do. Hammer it? Yell it down? You can't reason with a roof. You can only take the roof away. I shoved the hatch aside and hauled myself up on my elbows. My shoulders screamed. My flashlight rolled. It cast a slice across that wrong space. I got my knees on the joists. The plywood boxes of Christmas lights dug into my shin. The gas can banged against the ladder below. I poured. The first splash sounded like pouring water on a hot pan. It hissed. It ran along the plastic vapor barrier and pooled. It soaked the insulation. The smell was sharp. It made my eyes water. I splashed it on the duct and on that shallow indentation. Something moved back. I heard it scuttle. Not a scamper. A shift like it slid itself away from the wet. It made a sound then. Not human. Not animal. It was the sound of weight leaving and then coming back somewhere else. The whole length of the house groaned as it took itself to the other side. "Hurry," I told myself. I flicked a match. It popped and went out in the draft. I cupped the next one. It lit. I dropped it onto the wet insulation. The flame ran like it had been waiting. It went soft and low, then up. The duct paint bubbled. The tar paper above the rafters caught. The oily smears on the wood went black and then orange. The heat hit my face and I leaned back and almost fell through the hatch. The thing came back fast. It hit the joists by the wall over Noah's room. It pressed, testing, and then the drywall in there cracked in a long line. I heard my son call, "Daddy!" And it cut me. That one word cut me worse than the sheet metal had cut Luis. I dropped through the hatch and kicked the ladder away like I was angry at it. I grabbed the gas can and sloshed a trail across the hall, under the hatch, into the living room. Stupid. I know. I wasn't thinking straight. I lit it at the hall and watched it go up to the hatch in a fast line. Hot air shoved at me. The smoke rolled. I coughed and found the closet and hauled Noah out with one arm, his blanket dragging. "Hold your breath," I told him. We went low. We went to the front door. I didn't look back. We made it into the yard. Cold air hurt my face. The house breathed once, like a big chest. The flames pushed under the eaves and then up the roof. The snow up there melted in a skin. The neighbor yelled. Someone called 911. Jenna had her phone out. The peak glowed. For 1 second, I saw the shingles bent from underneath by a long, sliding weight. It looked like something tried to press its way out at the ridge, changed its mind, and went down instead. The fire crew did their job. They ran lines. They chopped a hole in the roof. They sprayed that bright stream of water that knocks you back with just how much force is in it. The house hissed and steamed, and then it was a shell. The front window broke. The couch sagged and fell into a black shape that didn't look anything like furniture. The roof lost its peak and dropped like a bad breath letting go. The chief asked me questions I barely heard. "Everyone out? Any pets? Any gas appliances?" I said no pets. I said yes. The furnace. He asked how it started. I said I didn't know. He looked at me like he knew I was lying and also like he didn't care yet. I wrapped Noah in a blanket from Jenna and held him on my lap in her driveway. He kept asking, "Where are my things?" I told him, "We don't need them. We're okay," and my throat closed on the last word. I slept in a motel that night with him curled against me. Every time the HVAC cycled on, I reached up for my ceiling out of habit and there wasn't one. No thumps, no pacing, no nails. Just the thin wall and someone laughing in the next room and the ice machine clicking upstairs. I cried once in the bathroom where he wouldn't see. I didn't look in the mirror. Insurance will fight me. The police came by and asked again. I told them a wire could have arced in the attic. I don't know what they wrote down. Luis sent me a picture of his stitches and said he was sorry he couldn't do more. I told him not to worry. We drove past the old house one afternoon because I couldn't help it. The yard was taped off. The maple was still there. The roof was open to the sky. The ridge where it had paced was gone. Just a black cut line and melted tar. On the sill of the front window, someone had left a small, rusted coffee can. I don't know who. It was full of screws and nails. Some were bent, some were clean. I didn't get out of the car. The motel ceiling is flat and white and boring. I like it that way. Noah sleeps with his feet against me. Still. Once, 2 nights ago, when the ice machine dropped a tray, he woke and asked, "Is it on the roof?" I said no. I said our roof is gone. He accepted that. Kids accept facts when you say them plain. That's the only thing I want now. Plain. No more taps. No more pacing. Just blank ceilings and the hum of a unit I can turn off. I gave up the house. I did it on purpose. People ask if it was worth it. I don't know what to tell them that won't sound crazy. I know I don't hear my name scratched in wood when I close my eyes anymore. I know if it ever comes again, it won't come here, because there isn't any place above us for it to walk. And even if there was, I wouldn't wait downstairs this time, counting the steps. I wouldn't wait at all. Oh, you liked that? Then you better hit like. Subscribe too. Don't make me remind you next time. That's how this works. You watch, you react, and the stories keep coming. Now go. The next one's waiting. See you in the next one.